We are here to do a high profit content reset today. And what I want that to mean for you is a lot less work on your content creation and a lot more sales. Anytime we try to make that promise to ourselves, that means there's going to have to be a system put in place. Yes, because we can't do this without a different way, right? Whatever has gotten us to the point in our brand development, in our know, like, and trust factor with our audience, whatever we have used to get us this far is not going to be the same thing that gets us to the next level. Okay. We're going to need a different system. And so, my goal for us today is that you see two huge distinctions. Okay. One will be a 5-part system that will integrate into your content marketing, that will actually will transform your content marketing into a 5-pillar system rather than just trying to constantly crank out content. I need you to understand the 5 component parts that are essential when that content marketing actually turns into a consistent stream of clients, a heavy cash flow for your business, and that's going to require a different system. So we kind of need to shake things up a little bit and have you think about it differently. And then there is one component that absolutely must be a system that involves delegation. Okay. Because you can go fast alone, but you can go far together. So you're going to need to master the ability to delegate certain things when it comes to being a consistent, leader. And when I say leader, you guys, you don't have to have a massive following to have a massive income. Okay. Just, I am proof positive of that. Okay. So if anybody needs a reminder of that, I'm going to throw my Instagram up on the screen. And I don't have 2K followers on Instagram, and I'm a more than $1 million a year business. Okay. So I don't want you to like dupe yourself into believing, man, I can never make it unless I have bazillion followers, and every single post that I have gets tons of hearts and likes and shares, and you know what I mean? That's the common belief. You know what I mean? And of course, there are people who do have that and they monetize it really well. But I can burst your bubble that that's an absolute reality by telling you, we do game plan sessions for practitioners who realize they want to escape the time for money trade. So we do something called a game plan session where we do a 9-point assessment of your business, and we take a look at, okay, what's working and what's not working. Not from a place of judgment, so that we see exactly what we need to do to get you to become $1 million a year business. And so when we look at those, you would be surprised, maybe mortified, by how many people come to us and they actually do have a sizable following and they do have really good engagement, and their bank account is not abundant. And those people actually tend to be in an even more emotionally frustrating space because they feel, I give and I give and I give so generously and such high value content, and people engage with me. And when it's the invitation to buy, just crickets. They'll either ghost them in the DMs, or they'll just say, "Oh no, I'd rather go it alone and see if I can tolerate this, or I can figure out a way around it." Right? So they're making the connection through content, but they're not getting the clients. They're not getting the cash flow. Okay, so excuse me, I'm getting over a little bit of a cold, so I have a little stuffy nose and a little frog in my throat. I'm going to do my best to deliver big for us today, but just know that's going on. Okay. I'm going to make sure I don't miss anything here in chat. Okay. So I will go ahead and put this away so we can see each other a little better. Okay. So what we want to address here is that there are many health entrepreneurs, many just entrepreneurs in general, that are letting their content creation, their content marketing drain them. Okay. And what I would like to show you how to do is take one weekly video. Okay. Because all of us can do one weekly video. Okay. Look, it's Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. And despite a cold and it's holiday break, like, I'm here. It's one video a week. Like, I love what I do so much. I love delivering this so much that for any of us to show up one time a week and provide really high value willing to do that, you're really not ready to cultivate a know, like, and trust factor with anyone. I don't care how shy you are. I don't care how tech phobic you are. Like, if you're not willing to do that, if you're not willing to show up and do one weekly video for your audience in service of your mission, then you're not ready to be an online health entrepreneur. Hard stop. Okay. So assuming all of us can take on at least doing one main piece of content every week that's high value, then if you're willing to do that, then buckle up. I would like to show you how you can turn that into your entire content marketing system. The keyword there being system. Okay. So you're going to do your part, and then you need to see how the remainder of this can be divided and delegated so you don't feel exhausted by doing that content. Okay. So if content creation is feeling like a massive demand right now with very little payoff for you, I want you to know that you're not doing it wrong. You're just doing too much without a system. Okay. So as soon as you put a system in place, we can get rid of that feeling that, oh, the content hamster wheel just feels endless. Posting, it feels like I do so much of it, but it's really not effective. And definitely you might be getting the sense that, well, the return on my invested time in created content, it doesn't match the output. Like the effort I'm putting in is not matching the money, the connection, the fulfillment that I'm getting out of it. Okay. So our time together today is about less work for you and more sales. Okay. And we're going to do that through a smarter design for your content strategy rather than more hustle. Okay. So let's start where we're at. Okay. Most of you are taught to just create more content. Okay. Create more, create more, create more. When that is that's interesting, because what happens to all that content? Okay. What if we had you retool that ever so slightly and you start thinking about building it once? Yes. So I'm asking you to do one, juicy, helpful piece of content every week, and then let that compound. Okay. As a matter of fact, I'm going to represent you to something that I've mentioned before called interest compounding. Okay. Interest compounding is a play on words for compound interest, right? Compound interest is another one of the wonders of the world, where we can put some money in the bank, and thanks to compound interest, it can grow and grow and grow and grow. And before you know it, we have accumulated wealth from the money that we continue to put in that account. Okay. Well, interest compounding is doing the same thing, but instead of money, we're going to take whatever interest we can get from a community or a smaller audience of people, and we're going to compound that interest into more clients for you and more steady cash flow so that you feel confident about your business. Okay. By the end of this, my hope is that content can become more of an asset, and it can be more of a long-term asset. So every weekly video that you create is going to become a part of a pool of content that can be rinsed and repeat. Okay. So I want you to envision in your mind, you know how the paddle on a paddle boat, it has those, boards like that in a circle, and the water, each time the paddle, another board hits it, it's moving that boat forward. Okay. Well, the more content you have in your pool, the more water there is going to be for that paddle to spin you forward fast. Okay. But if you don't know how to take the existing content that's already in the pool of content that you've created and use it to constantly push you forward, then you're constantly having to put more water in there. I don't want you to have to do that. I want you to see how all the content, all of it that you've ever created, maybe with the exception of a few like time-based or date-based content, like for example, all of us probably had to do some content right when COVID came out, and it had to do with pivoting to get into the online space because you couldn't see people, physically in person anymore. So you needed to see how could you care for them, in an online or a phone call or Zoom. Like, we all had to pivot, and that was a point in time where that content was very, very relevant. And but the majority of our content isn't like that. Okay. So there'll be small exceptions where it's date-based or it's specific to an incident in time, a cultural incident, a revelation in medicine, right? Like how much content this last year was made around GLP-1s, right? How much content is being made right now about peptides, right? There may be some things that interest in those will wane over time, but that's the smaller portion of our content. for the most part, the functional medicine foundations, the precision medicine foundations that are the core of what you do, that's going to stay the core of what you do until discoveries are made. And that's why I want you to be able to capitalize on the creation of that content again and again and again, ongoing. Okay. So, what I want you to do is focus on one good decision a week. Okay. So, one piece of core content that you're like, this would serve my audience well, and it would leave them hungry for more of that. Okay. So even this, like we're having a conversation today about how to reset the way that you think about your content. So it's far more high profit and far less effort for you. Okay. That is an appetizer for a workshop that we are doing, in which we're going to open up the secrets that we share in our high-end mastermind with online health entrepreneurs that are escaping the time for money trade. They're in our high-end mastermind called Practitioner Accelerator. We're going to open up and let you guys use some of the tools, not all of them, obviously, because they're exclusive for our mastermind members, but we're going to give you some key tools that have made the difference that even they want other practitioners to know, okay, in order to protect you. Such a great community, that Practitioner Accelerator world. If you are thinking about getting that kind of community support and surrounding yourself with health entrepreneurs that are on the path to being a medical millionaire, some of them are there already, make sure you book a game plan session. We only take a few of these each month. So if you're serious about getting 2026 off to a very abundant start, I highly recommend that you book the game plan session. You do the 9-point assessment. Come ready to talk about everything, you guys. Numbers, like your financial numbers, how much time you're putting in, where you're taking the business in the next 3 to 5 years. Like, you need to be ready to have an open discussion about that. Otherwise, don't bother booking it. Okay. But if you're serious about it, that's how you can access that, and you can meet with our team, and they're just going to give you a 3-step game plan. And if you want to know how to execute it with us faster with all of our pre-made funnels, all of our AI, custom AI tools, then yeah, you can do that. And if you just want to execute that plan on your own, yeah, you go execute that plan on your own. All right. Since I see that being scanned, I'll leave that up here for a second. But that is your fast track to doing that. There's no need for you to recreate the wheel. We have been in the health and wellness online space for over 13 years. And so we have built every funnel you could possibly think of, and then tested it and retested it with millions of dollars of collective ad spend. So if you want to stand on our shoulders, that's the way for you to do that. Okay. I'll go ahead and get this out of the way. All right. Now let's jump into the first component that you need. Okay. The first thing I need you to wrap your head around is that your responsibility as the voice of the mission of your brand, as the brand leader, as the expert with whom you want people to cultivate a know, like, and trust factor that makes them willing to trust their future, the quality of their future, with you. Okay. Because remember, yes, you're fixing their health, but their health determines the quality of their future, right? Are they going to be living in pain? Are they going to be, not able to run errands because they need to know where a bathroom is? If you're a fertility expert, are they not going to be able to grow their family? Like, you are literally sitting at the valve of the happiness and joy that they're going to feel in the future, because their health either is or is not there to sustain a future that they really want to live into. Okay. So the first thing that I need you to do is I need you to be willing to accept your role as the leader of your brand. Okay. And if you're not willing to do that, then you're not truly a health entrepreneur. Okay. I get it. Everybody's shy. Nobody wants to go on camera. Myself, like when I first started doing video, I constantly would be like, I'm going to puke or poop. I don't know what's going to happen, but everything's about to come out of this body. I am so nervous. And all of us, we all have to face our demons and get over it. Okay. By the way, my number one tip for that, if that's you, is stop thinking about who's watching the video and speak to one person. Okay. When I come out and teach, I'm literally acting as if I speak to one of my private one-on-one clients who is always hungry for any tip or advice that I can give her. And she's always quick to implement. And I just think about having a conversation with her. And then whatever. Will there be haters? Yeah, fine. Will there be people who love it and appreciate it? Yeah, fine. But I don't need that extrinsic validation. I just need to tap into the intrinsic validation that, like, hey, I'm willing to show up and give as if I'm speaking to someone who will listen and learn and implement and go change more lives and make more money in the process. And I'm really only having a conversation with that one person, right? So if that helps you, I hope that helps you show up as a leader. Okay. So, first and foremost, you absolutely positively, I'm going to draw here so you guys get this. Okay. So, the absolute first and foremost thing that you cannot move forward with this plan that I'm going to give you unless you are willing to step into what I call interest compounding. Okay. So, here's the deal with interest compounding. I'm going to hope that this is, let me make sure it's on. And if it's not on, it's okay. You just make sure. Sometimes it takes a second. And it might be, I had to present for you guys from a coffee shop and I last week because I was traveling and I needed to, yeah, it's being fussy right now. Okay, we're just gonna do it this way. Okay. Bye you. Okay, you guys are gonna have to take notes because there's gonna be 5 pillars of what I need us to do. Oh no, now it's stuck. Oh, this is gonna be really strange. Let me see if I can get it out of here. Go home. My whole cam set is being funky. Oh no, it's like being freezy. Hold on one second, you guys. Let me see if I can. All right. Well, what I want to be able to do is go back to this. So what I might need to do is switch cams for you guys. Hold on a second. Oh, Gato, I think I can try this and see if it works. Yeah, okay, that works. So in a pinch, we'll switch back to this. Okay, so the first thing that I need you to do is take on that you're the leader. You have to do one piece of content every week, okay? If I had it all my way, you would map out what are the 3 biggest pain points that my people have and what are the pathways that I have to get them over those things? So what's my process? So in other words, you want to know what are the biggest 3 pain points. I'm going to give you an example from a non-medical brand so you can see it. Okay. So for me, health entrepreneurs tend to have 3 main challenges that I need to help them with. First, they need to be able to grow awareness about their brand, right? They need to be able to get attention in a very crowded market. Okay. So that's the first piece. I call that aware. They need to be able to grow the awareness that they even exist. Okay. And then the next thing that they need to be able to do is convert. And that is turning that attention into paying clients. Okay. And then when they can do that, when they can get attention easily and keep it coming in, and then they can turn that attention effectively into cash flow, into clients, into fulfillment, into steady income, then the next piece is then they're going to be burnt out and exhausted if I fail this part, right? Then I need to help them put systems in place for their business. Okay. I call that elevating their business. This is when they need to hire because they have the money to do it. This is when they need to hire help. This is when they need to put advanced systems in their place. They can no longer bootstrap. They actually need systems to keep their business on the rails and to help them hit ever expanding, financial goals. Okay. So for me, those are the 3 areas of content that I know I really need to address. And all those 3 areas of content serve the one mission that I have around here. And that is that you can heal, but at scale. Okay. So literally the brand is called HealAtScale because I already know you're good at healing people or you wouldn't be doing what you do. Okay. So I already trust that that's true about you. My mission is how can I help you do that at scale by leveraging your brilliance, leveraging your expertise, putting systems into place so that you don't become another burnout statistic, that you don't, kill yourself in the process of trying to save the health of others. Okay. So those are the 3 areas of content. And that's the singular mission. Help you create awareness, help you convert that awareness into paying clients and cash flow, and then put systems into place that protect your time ever more and make things simpler for you. I want you to be able to do what you do on the beach, if that's your jam, or on the ski slopes, if that's your jam, in the desert, whatever. I want you to be able to do that in a way that helps you create a life that you love. So that defines the content that I need to create every week. This video today that we're doing together being an example of that, right? In the content, like creating content in an effective way, that's part of awareness. Okay. And if no one is aware that you exist, good luck making money, right? It's like being a building with no door, no open sign, no windows, nothing, right? It's just a brick wall. People wouldn't know that you're open. So in the online space, content is typically one of the keys to awareness. Okay. There's three forms of awareness we really need to get firing on all cylinders. And that is our, organic content. That's what we're talking about today. And then there's our paid content and there's our affiliate traffic. Okay. So there's three different forms of traffic. Today, we are talking about our, sorry, I'm getting a glitch here. We're talking about our organic forms of content. Okay. We can save affiliate traffic and paid traffic later. Okay. So you're going to do one piece of content. So think for your brand, what are the core areas of things that I really need to help with? And if you struggle with this, just think of, well, what are the three biggest pain in the butt complaints that my people have? And how do I fix them? Okay. So in my case, they don't have an audience, or they have some attention and they can't turn it into clients, or they have no system for making those things happen. Okay. So that once you know what are the main things that you're trying to solve for your people, you know what the content that you need to create every week is. Okay. So given that we know you're gonna need to, my tech is all over the place today. We're just gonna get through it, okay? So what I want you to focus for this particular kind of content is I want you to think of one long form piece of content. And when I say long form, I'm not talking about that it has to be, 45 minutes or an hour. Even a good 15, 20 minutes is fine. Okay. That's long enough for your long form content. Okay. If you want to do something like this where you're live and then you can take questions at the end, it's probably going to end up being somewhere around a half hour or an hour, especially if you allow that time for interaction, which I highly recommend because then you actually get to hear directly from your people. You get to hear their language that they use, which is always good for you to hear because you want to use their language in your marketing. Okay. All right. So one weekly content from you. Okay. And then you're going to need to take that piece of content and you're going to need that content to be spliced and diced into short form video and quote cards and stories and, reels, all the things, right? Carousels. All of that knowledge that you drop by showing up as the brand leader and doing just one video a week can be compounded into all of the content that you need for your main for your main weekly content. I'm going to call that evergreen content. Because again, for the most part, that one weekly video that you make every week can be recycled and reused, right? So if like this video, okay, if I ask you to make one weekly content and then incorporate it into the 5 pillars of content, because that one weekly form of content, it will fall short of making sales if you don't add the other 4. Okay. And I'm going to get to the other 4. You'll know exactly what they are by the time we're done today. Okay. But that we're going to call evergreen content. Okay. You're going to show up and make that evergreen content. And for that evergreen content to be promoted, what you want to do is use a process called interest compounding. Okay. Now, interest compounding is simply the process of taking that one weekly video from you and then being willing to pass that baton onto a VA or an EA, whatever you want to call it, and letting them take that content and turn it into everything else that you need. Okay. Now, I can hear all of the control freak people being like, but what if I don't like it? What if they pull the wrong quote? What if it's not what I intended? What if it's not good enough? You know what? Please don't let perfection paralysis stop you from being profitable and impactful with your brand. Please do not. Okay. The amazing thing about the interest compounding process is this. What you're passing off is not AI generated. What you're passing off is gonna go to AI, but the core content itself that you came up with, the core content is you. The core content is literally like this today. Like I'm just talking to you, okay? I'm showing up from a place of love for my audience and for what I do and for what's possible when you have great marketing out there, okay? And I'm going to have this conversation with you, and then what will happen is that transcript, which is not AI generated, it's me having a heartfelt conversation with you. You're going to do the same. You're going to come up with your own content, okay? Now, some of you may need a content outline, and certainly we have AI tools in our wheelhouse that can help you generate that. Totally fine. As a matter of fact, I'll reveal how I do my content outlines, and how I get everything ready to pass off to me, my EA. That's the interest compounding process. As soon as I pass it off, phase one of interest compounding begins. Okay. I consider my part phase zero, like it's ground zero of what's going to happen. Right. So phase zero is all me. And then everything that I pass on is phase one, phase two, and phase three of our interest compounding process. Okay. So one weekly video from you. And then you need to be willing to pass the torch to an EA or a VA that can then take that transcript, okay? And of course, AI can pull these transcripts out of our video very easily. So what's going to happen is they're going to take the transcript. So that's you, your words, which I hope gives you more trust and confidence that you can pass it off, because it is going to go into an AI set of prompts, okay? But rather than AI guessing or, dreaming up content on your behalf, it's actually simply instructed to only take your content and not color outside those lines. Okay? So it's going to say, this is the transcript from the video that I gave my audience this week. And from that video, it's going to make everything that you need to turn that into the content, not only for that entire week, for there to be a focus on that content all throughout the week, not just one day, but all throughout the week. Okay. It's going to make all of the content to do that. Now, what do I mean by all of the content? So, for example, when this video goes live on YouTube, the YouTube description needs to be there with any links that I mentioned, with any references to other videos or other handouts. All that needs to be there. So it's going to make the YouTube video description. Then it's going to make an email to get your email list to go and watch that video after the fact if they did not join you live. Okay. It's going to create story and a reel and a LinkedIn post and a Facebook post. It's going to take your content, and the prompts are directly designed to have it pull out an engaging headline and an engaging subhead that makes people who are scrolling want to then read the longer form post and follow the call to action, which typically is going to be to go and watch that video of you so that your know, like, and trust factor grows, because they're seeing you deliver content that matters to your audience. That's part number one. Okay. Now, I could hear it in the space that some of you will be feeling like, Joy, that sounds great, but it's just me. Okay. I am a bootstrapping entrepreneur over here, and I do not have access to have someone take my one video and turn it into all of the assets that you're talking about. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say, I hear you, and we live in a time where there is a global economy, and there are people who are very interested in working for you at what we would consider here in the States a very reasonable price point, like very inexpensive price point. Okay. So I used to be just like that. Be like, nope, not until, I have X amount of profit margin or I hit certain goals am I going to invest in help with myself. And that was a huge mistake. I was the ball and chain shackled to my own ankle, preventing myself to getting to the next level that I wanted to hit in my business. And it wasn't until I said, okay, I'm going to take a percentage of what I make and I'm going to give that to a VA, an overseas VA. I started part-time and with a part-time person, and then I went to full-time. It wasn't until I did that I could free up my brain, like free up my space my headspace enough to have the capacity to create content that was high value enough that it would pull people towards our brand and still serve all of the people that I need to serve, right? Because you have your clients, you have your patients, I have my clients, I have my mastermind members. I need to serve at an extremely high level because that keeps my community staying. It keeps them with me for years. It keeps them referring other people, right? So we all have to show up in service of the clients we already have. And we have to be doing our content marketing, or we won't have new people to serve. You guys following me? Okay, so I had to give up the idea that I should be doing all of this work. And when I ran the math on it, when what I was paying, so I have I have my Instagram QR code on screen right now. If you are struggling to find help that you can trust, I want you to know that you're not alone. I've been there, okay? And I burned through a whole bunch. I tried Hire My Mom. I tried all different kinds of overseas ones. I tried some help in India and the Philippines. Everywhere. I tried help all over. It wasn't until I found an agency that was willing to have everyone be on site so that if they got stuck, have everyone on site in one place so that the quality of the internet was rock solid 24/7, that they had tech help in case they got stuck on anything. It wasn't until I found an overseas agency that was willing to provide all those additional benefits for these overseas helpers that I got reliable help that I absolutely trust. I now have full-time help. They do an in-depth interview. They make sure they understand exactly what you need, and they offer help at the most reasonable price point. And for what you get, the ROI that I get on this is absolutely insane. Okay. So if you want to be introduced to the same people that I use to find my full-time EA, go ahead and scan that code, DM me high ROI help, and I will do an email introduction to you directly to the owner of the agency that found mine. Okay. It's just so you know, I want to be super transparent with you guys. I pay $1,500 a month for full-time help. And my EA is amazing. Amazing. Okay, you guys, I don't have to manage my calendar anymore. I don't have to manage my email anymore. She goes through and she knows, I've flagged what's junk and what's not junk and what's important. Here's my client list. Here's my content collaborators. Like, she knows all the people who I need to be really on top of communicating really quickly. And she handles all of that for me. Okay. But her capacity to do this process that we're talking about today, which again, we call interest compounding, taking my one video and turning it into everything else that I need to promote to that content. Here's exactly what she does. Well, first of all, make sure you guys have this QR code. Okay. So that's the QR code. I want you to DM me high ROI help. So high dash ROI help. And that will start you and I chatting. And I will have to ask for your email because I always do a really polite email introduction because she delivers such high quality help and does such a good job at interviewing that I like to meet her at that level to ensure that we all get that same level of excellence moving forward. But it's $1,500 a month for full-time help and it's $900 a month for part-time help. Okay. I'm talking about help with building funnels, help with social media deployment. This interest compounding process is no problem for them. They can do the video editing. I mean, it's amazing, you guys. It's absolutely amazing. Okay. Now, when I calculated my own time, okay, so if you have never done a time study, oh my God, you will be mortified by how much time you're wasting. Okay. But if you've never done a time study, it's where you take 15-minute increments of your day and you actually look at what am I doing? What am I accomplishing? And the amount of time being wasted on, cussing at something, trying to video edit it or thinking I was oh so creative and awesome in Canva when guess what? I'm fucking not. Like I'm not graphically as talented as these people are. Like they're really good at it because it's what they do all day. And so when I calculated the price that I could pay versus the price that it was costing me for when I spend an hour of my time with people, I mean, my private clients pay $10K a month, right? My private clients who work with me one-on-one, that's huge. Okay. So my billable hourly rate versus me putzing around in Canva with something for hours, it didn't make any sense. Okay. So now I do my part. Okay. My part is to show up and serve, give value that I think is going to be very helpful, and then that video is going to be transcribed. What happens after that? After that, I have designed a set of prompts. It's an AI powered process. So basically what my EA does is she drops that transcript from the video in, and then it runs a whole set of prompts, automated AI prompts, okay? And it's going to come up with the video description, the emails to point to that piece of content, the social media posts to point to that piece of content. It's going to have content for my content partners, okay? So I do content for other brands like Functional Medicine Lab. So, like I've done content for Avexia and Rupa, and DHA and I have a collab coming up for Get Healthy Stores, like all of these other brands that are also serving you guys. I go to them and I provide support. Okay. So not only does the interest compounding process create the content that I'm going to need for this week's promotions, it also creates what we call promotions for rotation. Okay. And that's where this gets exciting, because this video is going to be as helpful to someone who's just getting started in understanding what they need to do to maximize one video a week into maximum content. It's going to be just as valid or helpful to someone in July or August or December. It doesn't matter, right? So it creates all the content that we need to promote this video this week. And then it also creates the content promotions for our content partners, which means it sends them little social media posts or little emails. And it has an email where my EA reaches out and says, oh, Joy made this content this week about this topic, and she thought it might be helpful to your audience for this reason. If you'd like to share it with them, here you go. Here's all the links. And she gives them a promotional email and a few social media posts. And that way, that there may be other brands promoting this content outside of my reach, outside of my email list, my email audience. You see it? Okay. So that one piece of content is then passed to the EA, and all of that stuff happens. All of that stuff happens. In my experience, and I have been working for health and wellness professionals for 13 years now. We got started with Dr. Amen and JJ Virgin and Amy Myers and Sarah Gottfried and Chris Kresser and all these big names. The difference between the people who kind of feel like they're dog paddling from a growth perspective and a profit perspective, the difference between those like dog paddling brands and the ones that are like smooth sailing are a willingness to delegate tasks that are, I feel like I'm going to say beneath your pay grade, but it's not even beneath your pay grade, because that feels like it has an elitist vibe to it. You need to focus on tasks that get you the highest ROI. And if you spend an hour with a new client, well, for the majority of the people I work with, that's $500, $750, $800, right? Like that is an $800 hour for you. 2 hours of you cussing and screaming, trying to video edit or do something that you're quite frankly not that good at, you know what I mean? And you shouldn't be that good at. Well, when you equate, $1,500 divided by, full time in a month, you are really hitting your business with a huge expense when you take someone who should be bringing in $800 an hour to the business, and they're doing a, $7, $8 task. It's just, you're costing yourself money. Okay. So that is the difference. You get in the habit of showing up for one weekly long form video and be prepared to pass that process off to a high ROI helper. Okay. If you need to find that person, scan that code, DM me, send me a message that just says, hi, ROI help. I'll know exactly what you mean. I'll ask you a couple of questions so that I can do an email intro to you, and we'll get you connected to the help that you need in order to do that. Okay. Now, by the way, our mastermind members, okay, so anybody who is serious about growing their business this year, like that whole interest compounding process, our members don't figure that out. Like they take my interest compounding process, they take the AI tool that I give them, and their EAs or VAs, they run the entire interest compounding process that I use. Literally, they're like, okay, Joy, I see. Like all of you can hear what I'm doing, and you can go ahead and make a set of prompts that do that. Like, I'm not saying like I'm some God on high that knows how to do everything. I've just refined it over time and made it better and better and better, and got better converting headlines and emails that had better open rates, that kind of thing, right? So I've taken my refined process, and anybody who's in our our mastermind, they just use my playbook for interest compounding, and their EAs use that same interest compounding process. So in other words, that is one of the systems that I force my people to use, because I have to be a mama lion about protecting their time. It's easy for them to get distracted and try to go down these little rabbit holes that are fun and interesting and cool with AI, but I need them to stay in the profit making lane. And so what I do is I take my very own playbooks and I retool them and make them customizable for them. And our mastermind members use those playbooks for interest compounding. Hard stop. They absolutely have to. Okay. So that is game on. That's number one. Okay. You have to be willing to do your one weekly content and then pass it off to become quote cards and emails and social media posts and long form video and short form video, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. That's number one. That becomes the main pillar, the first pillar in your 5 pillars of content that you absolutely need to weave that weekly content in. And this is where I will totally admit that, like, I used to have a challenge where, and I just recently kind of shined a light on this and realized, like, oh, wait, a lot of people are not doing this. A lot of practitioners are not doing this. I need to solve this problem. Okay. The interest compounding process becomes so cool. You're like, wow, I can just do one video. And all of this stuff is going out omni-channel on all of these other platforms. Okay. That piece is so cool that they could forget to do some of the other pieces. Okay. Now, any of the practitioners who have been through my simple social school process, okay, they were using at least 3 of the pillars. And if you are someone who's like, man, I do not know what I'm doing on social media, we do have a social media, we have a social media course just for health professionals. It's like, okay, how do we grow an engaged audience? And then how do we turn that into, easy sales of what we want to offer because we've cultivated the trust. If you don't have that down, if you're not even set up on any of the social media platforms, I highly recommend that you use that as your initial boot camp, just to make sure you set your brand up well, your profiles are set up well, and you at least know the basics of what you should be doing on which platform. Okay. So if you're struggling in that area, that is a very cost-effective way for you to get that done. Okay. Anyone who's been through my simple social school is using at least 3 of the 5 pillars. Okay. Because those people are taught that, like, okay, we absolutely have to, show our work so people see us as a professional. We need to share client wins, and we need to do hand raisers. Okay. And those are part of the pillars. I really wish I could draw this out for you, but my system is being glitchy because I was working from a coffee shop last week. So I'm going to do my best to kind of show you on my fingers here for all the people who are visual learners like me, and we can't benefit from using the iPad today. We're just going to make it work. Okay. All right. So we know the first piece of content in the 5 pillars, that's your evergreen content. Okay. So that's one weekly video from you that is then dripped out in social media. The way that I do mine is 2 posts a day. Okay. So an AM post and a PM post. Okay. And that content is sprinkled in through the week. But if all I did was hit you over the head with this one piece of content every week, that's all you're going to see from me. And if all I ever did was provide content and I never let you know, even this QR code right now, if I never let you know, hey, there's things that I sell around here. There are ways that you can, better yourself for a very affordable price. I don't do this for free. Like, obviously I get paid, right? Like, I have a clientele that pays me to stay in the forefront of marketing, of ads, of online tech, of AI, so that they don't have to, because they want to stay in the forefront of lab tests and functional precision medicine and peptides and all the amazing things that are happening. If I don't mention those things, if you don't know about those things, then you know what's going to happen? And this is probably happening to a lot of you. You're going to end up in the relationship equivalent of the friend zone. Okay. Those guys who they really are in love with it. We see them in the movies all the time. They're in love with the girl. They're like the best person for the girl. They treat the girl better than anything, right? They have a shared vision for a future life, but they constantly show up as the friend, and they get stuck in the friend zone, and they actually never move towards the conversion that they want, which is that romantic relationship. Okay. You can end up in the friend zone of your audience. Like, oh, there's that person who is always telling me hormonal tips. but they never ask for the sale. And people just get conditioned that you're just the person who shows up and provides value. And you forget to make it very clear that what you want is to be the guide that gets them back to a state in which the hormones running through their body are the appropriate tools and triggers to get that body firing on all cylinders and having living in a human body cycle that optimizes their performance. Right? If you don't make it clear that, like, hey, I'm giving you these tips, yes, 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 and what's possible is I could actually be your coach to where your hormones are a key role in your happiness, in your productivity, in your profitability, in everything, because that's what they're meant to do. They're meant to help us fire on all cylinders and move the species forward by having little babies, right? So if we don't make it clear, you can easily get stuck in the friend zone. Okay. So if all I did was drip out my interest compounding posts all week and I never had offers or invitations or was not sharing the other forms of content we're going to cover right now, no matter how high value content this is, I would run the risk, and so do you, of just landing in the friend zone and never getting the conversion that you want. Okay. So we have the evergreen content that comes from your main piece of weekly content that is then put through the interest compounding process. Okay. We're going to call that evergreen content. What's the next one? The next one is offer content. Okay. Offer content is any content that you put out that naturally leads to the invitation to get an offer. Okay. Now, what are offers? Okay. For some of you, you have one key offer. Okay. So let's say that you are I'm going to say for the majority of you that have chosen to niche down to serve a specific audience for a specific challenge that you're really good at helping them overcome, your offer is the outcome that you can provide. Okay. Your offer is the outcome that you can provide. Okay. So some of you only offer that outcome through one-on-one packages. Okay. So, you can see me. We're going to work together for 3 months and it's 10K, whatever your numbers are. Okay. The way that I work here at HealAtScale with all of my clients and in the mastermind members, that one outcome, which is the main offer, is typically offered in 3 ways. High-end one-on-one, that's the private client package with you, and then a live rolling evergreen group program, that's your mid-tier that makes functional and precision medicine affordable to way more people, because let's face it, a ton of people can't afford it right now unless you democratize access to functional medicine by doing a live rolling evergreen group program where they get access to you and Q&A and refinements with you, but they're not paying the high-end price. Okay. And then they have an invisible third offer, which is a DIY self-study course for the people who can't afford the live rolling evergreen program. So typically your offers are the outcomes that you provide. Okay. So we have the evergreen weekly content, and then we have your offer content. Okay, that's number 2, your offer content. Any content that directly speaks to the offers that you have and invites people to get them. Okay, now if you've not been doing offer content, start slow. Just talk about something as simple as a supplement that you love and offer, I don't know, via FullScript or via your Get Healthy store, even better. Okay. If you do that, then you're starting to get your audience warmed up to, she mentions things that I can buy that can advance me towards the outcomes that you're really good at getting at. And then you're going to slowly ebb into, well, you could work with me one-on-one. And if that's unaffordable, then there might be another offer content that lets people know about an upcoming evergreen group program that you have. Okay. That's offer content. It has to be shuffled in to keep you out of the friend zone. Okay. So evergreen content, offer content. I'm going to pause right here and address a question that's coming up because this is so relevant for everybody. Okay. So Kershia is saying that her main concern is that, okay, if I do my one weekly YouTube video, I won't get enough reach. Okay. And that is completely accurate because what was that movie? It was Field of Dreams, right? Where they say, if you build it, they will come. Okay. That might be true in the movies, but that is not true in the online space with our content. So what Kershia is saying is absolutely valid. Okay. Which is why, how cool would it be if every week when Kershia made her video, the transcript is turned into an email that goes to her people. Okay. Now her people are now being made aware. All the people on her email list are now being made aware that email list the way that phase 0 works for my interest compounding process is I actually invite you guys to come and watch this video with me. So I even have like a preemptive piece. Phase 0 has a invite them to come to the video with me, right? So if Kersia was able to notify her email list, notify whatever small following she has on any platform, LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, all of them, right? It's Substack, I don't care. If she was able to notify all the people on all the platforms that she already has to see that video, then that viewership is going to go up and up and up and up. And that's going to be a cascade that keeps going. Okay. So you guys, the sooner you start your weekly repetition, the sooner your content consumption is going to go up. Okay. But the more that you drop the ball, you're not consistent, you don't commit to it, that's going to drop off and the algorithm is going to make you pay a price for that. Okay. So Kersia, hang in there and start implementing the interest compounding process. That's number one. Okay. The second tip that I have for you, and I cover this in detail in the final, like the Simple Social School is divided in thirds. And the final third is about expanding your audience, because when you first start, your audience growth is incremental, meaning it goes kind of up pretty steadily. Okay. But as soon as you can do collabs, which is like an IG collab with someone, be on someone else's YouTube channel, partner with other brands, well, then your content is now being put in front of their audience also. And that's when you stop with the the incremental growth will still come from you, but that's when you have exponential growth. And that's what you want. Okay. So one, you need to start deploying the interest compounding process immediately. Okay. And two, it's time to start partnering and doing collabs so that you're not in front of just your audience, but you're in front of other people's audiences. Okay. Now, there are some tricks that we don't have time to go into to make that work. So I'm just going to put this QR code again. This is broken into 3 modules, you guys, and the entire third module is focused on, okay, how do I get exponential growth instead of incremental growth? If your social media accounts are not set up properly, there's no point in trying to get the exponential growth. You need to be set up to receive that traffic first, and then you can go for exponential growth. And then you'll get your viewership up steadily by your own work from interest compounding, and you'll get it up exponentially when you start collaborating. Okay, super important. All right. Now back to our 5s. So we have our evergreen content and we have our offer content. Okay. Then we also need to have what I call client wins. Okay. Client wins is simply a form of content that provides social proof to your audience that, oh my God, look at that story. She got that person the result. She got that person the exact outcome that I want. Okay. Social proof is like, I can't overstate how important it is, okay? Because basically, people don't want to take a chance on you if you've never gotten success for anyone, okay? Now, you can let me know in chat if you're the type of person who, I just graduated from, the School of Applied Functional Medicine, or I just graduated from IIN or FDN. I just graduated from one of these amazing academies, and I don't have any social proof yet. That means you need to go out and you need to get experience. So my recommendation is go serve 5 people really well and have 5 badass testimonials to get them, because you honestly don't have any social proof to share until you've done the work. Okay. But I don't like those kind of people. They do follow me and they're in the ether, but the people who come to me to heal at scale, they've already gotten success for people. They just need to be able to do it at scale. Okay. So I'm going to assume you have gotten wins for people. You have successfully gotten people the result that you're really good at getting. Okay. So evergreen content, offer content, client wins. You have to share your client wins. Okay. And in Practitioner Accelerator, we teach a process called the blockbuster testimonial. And it is a very simple formula, much like a movie, where you ask people to share. It's a very in-depth process, but I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. You ask them to share, what was life like before they found you? This is where we're get to hear all their misery and pain. Okay. And then what was it like interacting, working with you? Okay. So that people know, hey, there's some work involved. They have to do their part. And then what is the happy ending? What is the outcome? Right. And when people give you a testimonial like, hey, could you give me a couple sentences about what life was like before you found me, what it was like interacting and working with me to get the results, and then what results you got? When you have that kind of a client win, that's the perfect formula for client win content to put in front of others, because if someone is struggling right now, hearing just the happy ending is so far away from where they are that you actually need to start the story with the pain. Because if they're in pain, resonant frequency says they can hear that pain. If they're resonating pain and you're only singing the resonant frequency of the solution, those two are on totally different wavelengths and they're never going to collide and intersect so that the people who are in the pain that you can solve can hear it. We have to start with the story of your success client's pain. We actually don't need to start with the win. We need to start with what was the pain that they had? How is it like working with you? And now they have the result. Because when we start with pain, speaking to people who are in pain, that's a resonant match and they can hear it. Okay. So evergreen content, offer content, client wins. Okay. Absolutely need client wins. The next one is hand raisers. Okay. And again, any of you who have been through my simple social school process, you've heard the term hand raiser. You know exactly what I mean. But for those of you who do not, let me explain exactly what it is. Okay. Typically, what most of you have been taught to do is let's create a guide, an ebook, something awesome that we can give away. And then let's build a whole funnel around it. Let's build a landing page where people have to opt in with their name, their email, their phone number, right? And then they're going to land on a thank you page that tells them to go check their email. And then the email sends them the PDF or the list or whatever that you wanted to give them. That's a lot of funnel building, okay? What if you didn't do that right out the gate? And what if instead you used a hand raiser? And a hand raiser is, sure, you can still give away that cool checklist, that ebook, that meal planning guide, any of those things. You can totally give those things away. But what if instead of forcing yourself to build that funnel or your team to build that funnel, what if you started by using it as a hand raiser? In which case you just put out content that's like, hey, so for example, what I'm trying to think of one that I've done. Oh, okay. So just recently, like having a marketing calendar for the whole year so that you can like plan everything out in Google Calendar, not Google Calendar, but like it's done as a spreadsheet. That is something that I could provide the audience, and I don't necessarily have to build a whole funnel for it. I could just be like, hey, do they even need this? Maybe they already have their own calendar. Maybe they're a whiz at Google and they could do it better than me. I don't know. But like I have this asset that's very useful for me, very useful for my mastermind members. I'm just going to say, hey, if you want that, DM me the word calendar. And that actually is set up, you guys. So if you need it, let me put my that is set up because our member success coach, our head member success coach did a YouTube video about it. So if you happen to need a marketing calendar that's super organized, then you could DM this one says high ROI help. But if you DM me the word calendar, that is a hand raiser. Okay. So a hand raiser, what is it doing? Okay, well, one, it's preventing us from building a full-on funnel until we know that's actually got traction. People actually want that. So that protects our team time, our time, right? But it's also getting us engagement on social media platforms. Okay. Anybody who wants that marketing calendar template, you're going to go to my Instagram. Okay. You're going to follow me and then you're going to DM me. Okay, now we're connected on Instagram. That's good for the algorithm to see us engaging. And then not only did you come there to my page and follow me and DM me, but now we're having a chat. And what does social media want more than anything else, you guys? It wants eyeballs because it's paid by advertisers. So it wants you to stay on there. And when you and I are chatting, guess what you're doing? You're staying on there. Okay. So any cool thing that you might want to give away or share, or you're thinking about giving away or sharing as a way of connecting with your audience, why wouldn't you try using that as a hand raiser? So you have a conversation about it. So in that example, I mean, might be like, hey guys, it's January. If you're getting your content organized, I want to show you something. So I would walk them through like how cool it is and how I use it, right? Let me say, if you want this, I already have the template. You don't need to rebuild it. Just DM me the word calendar, and you can have a make a copy version, and you'll have one that's blank in your own Google Drive, and you can get started on that right away. That's hand raiser content. Okay, that's hand raiser content, and it proves interest in something, and it kickstarts conversations. Okay, because when you kickstart that conversation, just see it for yourself. If you're giving away a supplement timing graphic for the refrigerator, let's say, if people ask you for that and they're DMing you for that, what could you ask them? Could you say, if it was me, could you say, hey, Joy, what supplements are you taking right now? And what's your goal with them? Maybe I have some tips that can get you there faster. Oh, you get them talking about them in that DM. Now there's a chance that you're going to develop a know, like, and trust factor faster, way faster, because you're actually chatting directly to them. You're no longer just speaking to the masses, right? You're actually talking one-on-one with warm prospects. Okay. And the chances of you doing a sell by chat conversation that has them book a call with you and enroll in working with you higher, way higher than just going out and preaching from your pulpit of content every week. Okay. So that's why. So you've got your evergreen content, you've got your offer content, you've got your client wins, and now you have hand raisers. What's the fifth one? Okay. The fifth one is what I call collaboration content. Okay. Now, collaboration content, you already heard me address the question or problem that Kershia was having, that she's like, man, I'm totally down. I will do my weekly video. High five, Joy. I'm all in there with you. But I am concerned that I'm not going to get enough traffic to my videos to make a difference. Well, nobody is born like entitled to traffic. It just doesn't happen, right? We have to build our traffic incrementally, our attention online incrementally over time. But as soon as we collaborate with other people, okay, so let's say that Kershia is so amazing at solving, I don't know, I'm just going to pick something, infertility, okay? And she decides she wants to come on here with my audience to speak to other practitioners about her banging protocol for fertility and how it works and why it works. And she wanted to share some stories. Well, now she's also in front of my audience. If she had, let's say, a practitioner training for how to get certified in her process for fertility, well, she just got the word out in front of way more practitioners than she did on her own YouTube channel without anybody else. And because I have a following on other channels, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, etc., then when I'm doing the promotion for my content with her, she's not just getting the promotions that she's doing to her audience and to her followers, she's also getting me promoting to my followers and my email list and my people. Do you see it? So that fifth one needs to be collaborations, okay, for multiple reasons. One, because collaborations give you the possibility to have exponential growth instead of incremental growth, okay? Because you're now in front of someone else's audience. The second reason for collaborative content is oftentimes collaborative content can be a source of financial wins for you. So, for example, let me give you an example of a collaborative content that you could do without even have to connect with the brand. If you're like, but they don't know me, Joy, they're not going to say yes. I don't know. You guys, we all have peers at every level. I remember we used to be big in the Mindshare community when it was first starting. And it was like, okay, there was people who were just joining Mindshare and they were all peers. And there were people who had been in it for a year and they were each other's peers. But they all started in the same place with very little audience and lots of intimidation and almost no confidence in their brand growth, right? And together over time, they grew and grew and grew and grew. So you have peers who have audiences just as small as yours. You need to be connecting with them. Same freeway of health, different lane. Okay. Find someone who's in a different lane. So they're not a direct competitor, but they're on the same super highway of elevating people's health. Okay. An example of one that you could do, of a collaboration that you could do that would bring you profits, but you don't actually have to connect with the brand. Let's say that I'm going to use Dr. Tracy Straub as an example. Okay. Dr. Tracy Straub is amazing. I love her. Let me think of one product that she likes. Okay, so she's big at teaching in the peptide space. Okay, let's say that she wanted to do one piece of content about her amazing, beautiful, glowing skin, and she just wanted to do a piece of content that talked about the role that her the peptide face cream that she uses, because most peptides, they have to be injected, but GHK copper, like that is one that can actually go on topically, right? So she's a big believer in a topical cream that includes GHK copper. So let's say that she wanted to do some collaborative content, but she didn't know that brand. Well, she sells that GHK copper face cream in her Get Healthy store. Okay. She could just do a piece of content about that, about her experience with it, maybe share other people if she had other people who had a great experience with it. Okay. And then she can point people in that piece of content to her Get Healthy store with the link directly to that product. And now she's essentially doing a collab with that brand. She has the possibility of making a sale. She's going to make sales from that piece of content. And that means she's making drips of income that pay her to do that content. Okay. Now, if that content gets any traction and that face cream brand itself is like, oh, look at that, a ton of people are sending us this video, the chance that that face cream brand might also share that on their social media, email their list about it, like that may get tons more eyeballs on her content. Okay. So those are the 5 pillars that I need you to switch to. Okay. Most of you have just been like on your little constant hamster wheel, like, I'm going to do a piece of content. Now I need another one. Now I need another one. Now I need another one. And you're just like running, exhausting on this hamster wheel. And you're not thinking about the spokes. Okay. What really should be there is, yes, you do need to have weekly content. If you want to stay relevant, obviously, you need to put content. But how cool would it be if that pool of evergreen content got bigger and bigger and bigger? And over time, it wouldn't matter if you were on vacation for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever, because you could pull and recycle pieces of content all the time. Okay. So that's what I want for you. I want you to use all 5 pillars. Okay. So just to recap, your evergreen content. Okay. You should use the interest compounding process with that. Okay. If you need that system already put in place with EAs already trained to do it, please, like, do yourself a favor. Do not reinvent the wheel. Come on into our community. Take advantage of everything that's already rinse and repeat, like ready for you to step into using yourself. Okay. When you become a member of Practitioner Accelerator, you guys, you're basically like, instead of, being like Fred Flintstone trying to use your stone wheels and pedal with your feet, you're just going to sit in a Ferrari when it comes to marketing, and you're just going to drive off because we've already made Ferraris. You just need to sit in them and use them. Okay. So if you're looking for systems, if you're looking for the coaching and the community to do this like a badass this year, by all means, book a game plan session, do an assessment. You're going to get a clear game plan, and you'll see how you can execute that game plan with us. And if you want to execute it yourself, you can execute that game plan on your own. Okay. But those are the 5 forms of content. Okay. Your evergreen content, your offer content. Okay. Your client wins. You have to have social proof that you do what you do really well. Okay. Your hand raisers. So you get that engagement on the platforms. Okay. And then your collaboration content. Okay. And that can be as simple as talk about a supplement that you love and sell it on your Get Healthy store. Totally fine. Okay. But I want you to get started thinking about, oh, how can I talk about something that I can make a commission on, or that I can speak about another brand and lean into any online traction that that brand already has. Okay. Because if you think about it, let's say in that face cream example, if somebody's doing a search on YouTube, on Instagram for that brand because they're curious about it, whose video is going to come up? Well, probably Dr. Tracy Straub's video is going to come up, and she's going to get more content strictly because she did a collaboration. Collaboration is where exponential growth happens instead of just incremental. Those are the 5 pillars of high profit content. Use them all. Okay. Use them all. I am going to be hosting a workshop. We will be hosting a 3-hour workshop to get this system done and put in place in your business. Okay. What's going to happen on that workshop is we're going to come up with your entire first quarter content. Okay. So that one weekly video that you need to do every week, so it's ready for interest compounding. Okay. We're going to get the entire quarter's content done for you. Okay. You have a prep worksheet that you need to fill out on the way in. So you've got it. And then we're going to show you how to execute on all 5 pillars of this content and organize it in a spreadsheet in such a way that you're always listing the last date that you use the content. And that way your EA, when it's rotating through rotational content. So remember I told you I post twice a day, right? AM and PM. And then I have a very specific email schedule over for the week. I don't want it all to be about my weekly content. I want some wins in there. I want some collaborations in there. I want some hand raisers in there. I want it to be a nice steady mix. So we're going to show you how to set up your deployment calendar in such a way that you're doing the same thing. Your weekly content gets plenty of attention. Of course it does. Okay. But you're also rotating through all of the 4 other pillars because that's where the cash flow comes. Okay. The one weekly content is going to build your audience, your engagement, your know, like, and trust factor. And the other pieces shuffled in, that's a full deck for high profit content. And that's what I want to make sure that you're setting up. Okay. If you're not already in connection with me over on Instagram, or if you're not already a subscriber here on the HealAtScale YouTube channel, I highly recommend that you do one of those so that you get an invitation to the workshop. Okay. Our workshops always, they include a custom GPT so that you can get things done a ton faster. Okay. And then they include access to deploy that, like to rewatch that video so you get the deployment done for 30 days. We keep those small because we want to make sure that we can break anyone out who's like struggling or getting left behind. We can put you into a breakout room with our member success coach and make sure that we get you caught up. Okay. So those workshops, we always cap the attendance. So make sure that you're subscribing. On next week's session, I'm going to do a little bit of prep work for anyone who wants to deploy this high profit content system. The session is happening Tuesday, January 13th. So it's Tuesday, January 13th from noon to 3 p.m. If you're not already booked with clients, I highly, highly recommend that you block that time for yourself. And let's go. Let's just set up this high profit 5-pillar content system. Let's just set it up together. Let's just get your whole content worksheet done in one 5-tabbed Google spreadsheet. We're going to get it all organized with you together as a group, and then you're going to deploy. And over time, that spreadsheet is going to have bigger and bigger bodies of content in each tab, each of the 5 tabs that we just talked about. And you will have a content machine that works for you 24/7 while you're traveling, while you're at the beach, while you're playing with your kids, while you're hanging out with your hubby. Okay. Or wife, spouse. Okay. If you're interested in that, please block the time. My team is still getting the registration page ready, or else I would give you the invitation right now. But just make sure you're subscribed. I'll go into it in more detail in next Tuesday's session. And next Tuesday at 10 a.m., that session will be an excellent primer for anyone who wants to take their leap and get their content organized in this 5-pillar system way. All right. We are right here at almost the last day of the year. So, Dr. Kari, you're so welcome. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you too. So I want to wish you all a very happy new year. Be safe over New Year's Eve. Take good care of yourself. If you guys need to get some high ROI help in preparation for doing interest compounding, in preparation for releasing the 5-pillar high profit content system, if you need help with that, go ahead and reach out to me now. I will again do an email introduction to the woman who found my EA so that you guys have as high quality of help as I do. It's seriously been a game changer for me. I didn't have the confidence to pass things off and trust that they were going to get done in the way that I wanted them to get done. And now we've created a system of playbooks and clear processes where I know that EA is just going to follow that process to the letter and things are going to get done exactly the way that I have designed that they get done, which has been a game changer for me trusting the process of delegation. And I want that for you.